A 12-year-old boy was shot and killed last week in Indianapolis. Here with us now to talk about how we can talk to our kids about gun violence is licensed clinical social worker Jenny Volker, who is a clinical social worker at Community Health Network. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mary.
This is a really difficult subject to begin with, but especially kids who we might think that they're not paying attention, but they're really perceptive. So first, I want to stratify this into sort of age groups. First, at what age do we start introducing the subject to a child who might be asking questions, who might be curious, and even though this is a reality, without scaring them?
Yeah. Well, so no matter what age, if your child is asking questions, we need to respond. Under the age of about 7 or 8, kids don't necessarily understand the permanency of death. They don't understand that concept. So we provide age appropriate information. We share what we have, and parents are the experts on their kids. So you know your child, share developmentally appropriate, age appropriate information, but we need to talk about it.
So we don't want to just ignore it. And I'm wondering if something what would kind of not talking about it do? I mean, that I imagine that would be harmful, and a child might have these feelings inside and curiosity, and I don't know, maybe feel like they can't ask questions or.
You're right on there. Um, Kids take their lead from their parents or the adults around them. So if the adults aren't talking about it, or the kids feel like they can't ask those questions, they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to find the information somewhere else, which may or may not be helpful information, or they're going to fill in the blanks with what they think. And sometimes that can be a lot scarier than knowing from their parents the information and knowing that their parents are there to keep them safe.
That's a great point that you make, because kids are in different settings, social settings. They're in school, and maybe parents do talk about it versus other parents who don't talk about it, and they can hear things, and the messages can get mixed. So when something like that happens, um, what I guess they it's so do we want our child to approach us first? I mean, I guess that's my question, or do we want to go to them first?
I think anytime we can go to them first, that's the preference. But if your child comes to you, that's the time to talk about it. But going to your child, asking, "Have you heard about this? What do you know? What do you understand?" Gain their knowledge and understanding, because that really can guide your conversation.
Right. So asking what they understand seems really interesting, instead of kind of assuming and maybe becoming so factual to start out with. The language, I imagine, like you said, 7 or 8 years old, Jenny, that kids don't start to really understand what's going on. But then let's say after that, maybe let's do preteens. Well, there's actually a big age gap between 9 and 12, but language is going to differ.
Yeah, language absolutely does differ. And I think that the underlying message of letting kids know what adults are doing to keep them safe, as much as possible, that's important. The older your child is, probably the more factual information you can provide. The younger they are, it might be less factual information and more about um, expressing emotions and what to do with those emotions. Although we want to give that opportunity for teens and preteens as well.
hmm And I'm wondering what kind of language you would use when you want to make certain that a child is safe. Can you give an example of something like that? How do we go about that?
I think that just being able to say, one of the things that's really important to me as your mom is to make sure that I keep you safe, to assure that when you're at school, your teachers, your principal is doing things to keep you safe. And let's talk about some of those things that we do at home and at school to stay safe. So
Wow.
just starting there.
Wow, that's incredible. Right. Let's because you're right, it's not only parents, but also your teachers are keeping you safe. Maybe you have they're on a sports team or something, that your coach is keeping you safe, or other sort of adult in their life. And um, yeah, I guess it must be so hard. I mean, I'm personally not a parent, but I couldn't imagine about how to do that. Um, and then I know you were talking about something that someone who is forgive me for not remembering the term specifically, but when someone has sort of a calm energy, this can affect people around them. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is called co-regulation. And co-regulation happens when somebody is feeling emotionally what we call dysregulated is the formal term, but very upset and unable to maybe manage their emotions. Another person, so with children, an adult can um, regulate the emotions by staying calm, by being empathetic, by listening. And in that calm place, you actually help biologically the other person become calm. It can work from adult to adult as well.
That's incredible. I mean, really, and I'm sure it could well work at the reverse, in reverse, the reverse way. Um, but that's just by being in the presence of someone who is calm and having that sort of effect can saying biologically or physiologically change a person's sort of state of calmness for better or for worse. Jenny,
Exactly.
any last thoughts you have this? We have about 30 seconds left talking to our kids about gun violence.
I think that the last thing that I would want to share is it's important for kids to use their voice too. So if they're aware of something going on, encourage them to talk to a trusted adult because sometimes they know about things that the adults don't know. So having these ongoing conversations really creates that safe space for kids to come to adults and share any concerns, any worries.
Are we talking about something that they might hear that there's something might be going on, or a child feels troubled, or is that what we're talking about? Or
It could be,
Mhm.
or it could just be, I'm really worried about my brother or sister because they're really upset. It could be
Oh,
either way. We just want to create that open environment.
right, right. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.